Hello everybody, welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Tuesday edition. We're going to be talking about Forex today, and the good news is there are some nice moves going on in Forex. Hopefully you guys had a great trading day out there. All things equal, we got one day left for the month of March, and it looks like we'll have a fairly flat at the end of all results for the major market indexes. We'll look at some of that a little bit later on. All right, the topic du jour comes from a couple listener questions on Forex, which is great because we've got Walker Anglin joining us, talking about riding the Canadian dollar. You guys might notice the picture there, the phoenix rising from the ashes. Not that it was that beaten up, but I just thought it was nice, appropriate with the chart of the Canadian dollar in the background. Joining me from the great state of Texas, the Texas trader, we got Walker Anglin joining us today. Walker, how you doing?
Doing great, Merlin. Thank you for having me on the show today.
I'm glad I could get you on the show. I've looked at your calendar, and you always seem to be busy with so many things going on. So I'm glad you got some time to come on and share some wisdom with us.
Yes, my pleasure. And again, busy hands are a good thing. Keeps everybody out of trouble, right?
That it does. Definitely does. Let's start off with the big topic, because I know some people look at the thumbnail that I put up every day and really want to focus on that. So we'll start there. And then for those that did send in questions, I got two specific Forex questions, one on the euro, one on the British pound, and then we'll look at the Canadian dollar. So if you have anything else, just let me know in the chat here. And Brian, I'll get to your question at the end of the program today when we get back to market indexes. So let's start with the Canadian dollar. Obviously, the Canadian dollar has been, well, it's been performing very well. That said, the last week or so, we've seen a little bit of weakness in it. So let's get your analysis on that Canadian dollar.
Well, Merlin, there's several things you have to consider when it comes to the CAD. And before we dig into the technicals, I'm big on seasonality. And one thing you have to respect in the month of April is it's typically an outperformer for the CAD. And what I did prior to this event is go back, and the Canadian dollar has actually rallied 8 out of the last 10 years. So 8 out of the last 10 years, we've seen the Canadian dollar really come on strong for the month of April. So that's where I start my analysis for the month. Now, secondarily, we also have the oil question, right? Oil is pulled back, so is the Canadian dollar, but I do have to think that you respect the oil uptrend, and that's going to be a major driver for the Canadian dollar going forward.
So I've got both of those up here. So I was trying to draw along as you were speaking there. And if you want, you're always welcome to share your screen too if you feel like you want to drive. Here is the crude oil chart, and I've got the continuous contract, guys. You can see that we have had, on the monthly basis here, the last few months have been phenomenal for crude oil. It's just been an incredible bull run. However, I do see that crude oil rushing towards an area of supply. We could loosely put it right around $70. Granted, we're at 60, so it's still a big run up. Does that factor into the trajectory for you of that Canadian dollar?
Yes, it does to a certain extent. We do have supply entering into the market, but I think the demand side is what we need to pay attention to, especially with economies opening up now that we're starting to turn the corner in a post-C-19 world. I think supply is going to be short-lived. You've got to respect that world markets are coming back online, and at least for the time being, economies run on petroleum.
That they do. Yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon. I mean, I'd love to say, hey, we're all on solar now and everything's great, but unfortunately that might be a little bit further on down the road. What other factors are there? Obviously, you've got gold, which has been actually looking rather weak lately. I have to restart my wonderful platform here to get it working. Maybe I'll use I think I'll use TradingView now because TradeStation crashed on me, which, we love the way TradeStation crashes all the time. The beauty of having a platform that they want to charge me professional data feeds too. So I warned them. I said, I use your platform as just an analysis tool. It's actually marketing for you guys. If you're going to charge me professional fees, I will land-base your platform until I'm blue in the face. But let me see. I had gold up here. Let's bring up the GC. Oh, boy, there it is. There's my gold. Let me change this chart back. I was doing some graphic pieces earlier. There's the chart of gold. Now, gold has been on a pretty consistent slide since August of last year, drifting lower and lower. Right now, it's kissing those lows. Obviously, that is part of an influence for Canada. Does this play into it?
It does to a lesser degree for me. And I think the major driver right now, kind of to segue into some of the questions, is the strength of the U.S. dollar overall. Mm-hmm. And for me, gold and the dollar play play hand in hand. As we saw the 10-year yield spike today, we see gold hit a new low. So I'm not really watching that correlation in regards to Canadian dollar strength.
Okay. You brought up a couple different markets, guys, so I'm bringing those up for the viewers out at home. Here you see that 10-year. As you mentioned, it was a pretty significant spike in it today, although it did fall back down near the end of the session. But right now you're at 1.71 on that 10-year, 30-year sitting still at about 2.37. Now, the other part here was looking at that GC, that gold chart. Oh, sorry, you said dollar index, right? Looking at that dollar index, this has been one that for the better part of the last few years I've been decisively bearish on, and not a few years, let's say a couple years, decidedly bearish on, and all of a sudden that downtrend which we saw start, oh god, this platform is driving me crazy, which we saw start back in January of 2021. It's just been building momentum, and it's making a stair-step pattern of higher highs, higher lows. Today we broke through. It looks like it has some legs to run here to up to about 94. That dollar strength, to me, it poses some problems for the Canadian dollar strength. I mean, you're going to have this kind of power struggle between those $2, and ultimately my assumption would be that the dollar's going to win. So that strength still in the Canadian dollar?
Yes, absolutely. And what we're doing here is talking about two strong currencies, right? We have a strong dollar, we have a strong Canadian dollar just going at it. And for me, that's fine. There's enough trades for both to go around. So for me, it's not necessarily the dollar CAD that I'm looking at. It's going to be the Canadian dollar against some of the preeminent weaker currencies out there, including the euro that we talked about last month. I think the Aussie CAD gives you good chances for Canadian dollar strength, especially if gold keeps going down. And even the pound CAD has some interesting breakout opportunities there.
All right, I'm bringing those up as we speak to look at those in more detail. From your trading style, and I can't remember when we did your profile the first time you were on this show, but would you say you're more of a swing trader, trades last couple days to weeks, or is it much more longer term?
No, I'm definitely in the swing camp, but here's the thing. When it comes to swing trades, well, my outlook may be for the next 3 days to 1 to 2 weeks. If I can catch a runner, I'm going to keep a runner. So typically I like to keep at least half of my position on, just in case you do see some of these mega Forex cycles start to break out.
Yeah, I definitely. I was waiting for this one of our viewers to show up, Brendan, who is he's Canadian, and he hates the Canadian dollar. I'm waiting to see his Canadian slander comments come pouring through in the chat. Good to have you with us today, Brendan. I was looking at this one too. Richard Stumpo says, I like the odd AUD CAD as well. I'm looking at this one, and it looks rather bullish on me. I mean, granted, we've had several months of downturn, but we're coming right into some decent demand zones on Aussie CAD. It's also been in a big uptrend since March. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
Sure. And let me try this here. I'm going to grab the screen from you. I'll show you exactly what I'm looking at.
I love
here.
To watch you draw. It's like watching Picasso.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. You see my chart now? Let me minimize the...
Yep.
What we have is this nice Aussie CAD down channel, and we do see the series of lower highs and lower lows. And what interests me, again, this just happened within the last day, is prices came back inside of the previous range to retest the last impulse. And my expectations, if Canadian dollar strength is going to be the play, I'm looking for prices to bounce off of this top of the channel high and trickle down to 94 and change here.
Wow. All right. Next, and I'm looking at, if I go back a little bit, that 95 mark, is a pretty decent bounce point that we saw back in November. To me, I have to look at that part. Does that area interest you? I know you talked about going into the 94 section, but to me, that'd be a good stall point for this one if it does continue down here.
Yes, and we're right in that level right now. For me, it's just more of a confirmation, okay? If prices continue to break out here, it just adds fuel to the fire. And that tells me that this area on the chart has been burnt. And again, that adds more supply, at least in my picture, pushing us to the downside.
Okay. Cool. I like it. I mean, hey, and it's funny because I'm building some stuff right now for self-paced content, and one of the things is everybody has an opinion. Bottom line is you just got to have your rules wrapped around it, so if your opinion's wrong, you can back out. So.
Well, that's right. And the name of the game is always managing your risk. And that's one thing I love about these price action patterns is the risk is relatively contained. Even if you took a late entry here over the high of yesterday's price action, projecting down the graph, you still get decent reward to risk ratios towards the bottom of the channel. And again, any trade could be dead to right wrong, or it could be right. The key is just know to manage your risk and know where the exits are at all time.
Oh, Richard says, "What's with the gray box?" It's the Skype window. He just needs to move that box over somewhere else, or just minimize it. I think if you can. There you go. There you go. Is that better? We just covered up some prices there, Richard. For some reason, the way Skype works, it'll if there's a pop-up window, it makes it block whatever's there. All right, EuroCAD. Ooh, I love it. Let me actually read a question here from a viewer.
Sure.
So since we're going to start talking about the euro, this was one that came in from Scott. And Scott says, long the euro at 116. I'm assuming euro dollar, but we can do both. We'll do the analysis on the dollar and on the CAD, but I want to get that question out just so I don't forget, because I tend to forget questions. So walk me through what you're seeing here, and are we going to stay on the euro CAD or?
Well, we can flip over to the Euro USD, and my recommendation is first go back to last month's interview where we had the big expose on the decline of the euro, and for me, again, my personal fundamental outlook of the euro is still bearish. And with today's price action, this made a new 20-day low. And I've actually been watching this cascade through all of these lows, providing entries to the downside. So for me, definitely still bearish on the euro until proven otherwise.
Right, and with this chart, I think it's pretty clear. You can see that going back into the beginning of 2021, it's definitely showing weakness. It's making lower highs, lower lows. If you are taking a stab at it, Scott, at 116, Walker has that line right there at 116.01. That's a logical bounce point. Plus, you have whole number psychology playing into it. But again, I actually would be okay taking that trade. My only concern is that it's just definitely been weaker for the better part of the last 5 months. If you do take that, just put your stop loss below that by whatever you're comfortable losing, because you could very easily be stopped out of this one as the momentum at this moment seems stronger to the south side. Regardless of what we feel about their economics, about the ECB, relationships with whatever countries, doesn't matter. The trend right now is pointing us to the south side here, and I agree with Walker. You probably need to head that way, but we are coming into an area that I feel like there could be a bounce at that 116 level as well. So, yeah, I would go long at 116 myself.
See, and again, it's not that I don't agree with you. It is an opportunity. It's just my personal trading style.
Sure.
I typically don't look for reversals. I'm more the meet in the middle kind of guy as opposed to looking for the corners.
Oh, hey, and I agree with you 100%. I think that's part of it. We've had a lot of great Chicago floor traders on the program, and one of their main points has been, look, the goal of pretty much all the big-time floor traders out of Chicago was you ride the momentum. You ride with what's moving. You ride that avalanche until that avalanche stops. And at this point, I don't know if I'd call this an avalanche on the euro dollar, but it certainly looks like a little bit of a landslide. It's drifting lower and lower, so stay with it. The only consideration here is if someone felt that 116 was going to be a buy point or a stall point and you're short, well, then maybe you lighten up a little bit. But, you don't have to jump ship. I do agree with Walker. I think that the reversals are harder to get. You're betting that thing's going to turn around, and like a comment that came through here a little bit earlier is, I'm really waiting for that reversal. I need it to show itself that it's going to reverse, and maybe wait for confirmation. And of course, with a confirmation trade, you're leaving a little bit of money on the table. So, it's this pick your poison. What's the lesser of the evils for you out here? In this case right now, I'd stay short that euro dollar.
Absolutely. And again, just from a broader fundamental standpoint, I don't see a lot going on for the euro. Again, they're back talking about lockdowns in Germany. The ECB has come out and said that negative interest rates are certainly in the picture for a long time to come. There's no inflation, high unemployment. So this is just checking all the fundamental boxes for me as well to the downside.
Yep. Richard asked you, he says, so Walker, would you sell puts or buy puts? I don't think Walker is a put and options trader.
Well, I can dabble a little bit. It's not my bread and butter. Forex is my bread and butter. But again, I've been known to trade a spread or two if I'm feeling froggy. So hit me with your best shot.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Richard, I don't know if you could simply make that statement of which one you'd rather do. Based off what Walker just said, my assumption would be he'd be more into buying puts because he's not interested in playing the reversal, which would be the selling puts, right? So if you sold your puts at 116, you're basically anticipating there being a bounce up, and I think he'd be more of a buyer of the puts at this point. All right, what else do I got here? Question from Brendan. Does Walker ever reverse scale into anything? I like doing it with stocks, crypto, and long options.
By reverse scale, are you talking about dollar cost averaging, like buying in if it goes against you?
Yeah. Are you saying when he's reverse, like if you believe it's going to reverse, start scaling into it, Brendan? Is that what you were referencing? Give me some clarity on that one. All right, we'll go back to the Euro CAD. I thought that was an interesting one. So obviously you guys see the weakness in the Euro dollar. I'll bring up the chart here so you can see what Walker's looking at with the Euro CAD. This looks considerably weaker in my opinion. It doesn't feel like we were coming into any demand zones that were higher up. It's just getting lower and lower. And right now it looks like you literally broke it in the last 24 hours, broke those most recent lows.
Yes, and this is a opportune time to talk about the Euro CAD because we have broken out to recent lows. And you can see the last series of impulses here have just been devastating to the downside. And there's been no holding back with the Canadian dollar strength against the euro. You also brought up a good point. As far as downside projections on this guy, there's a lot of free air on this chart. And I'm definitely bearish on this one. Again, if you're trading with the trend, you're trading that momentum, there's a possibility that we do retest that low from last year near 143 or better.
Cool. Yeah, I'm bearish on that one as well. And I think that right now you're getting that breakout trade to the south side. Okay, so Brendan added some clarity. Basically what he's talking about is scaling into winners. Depending on who you talk to, some will call it snowballing, although you got to be careful when you do a search for snowballing. You can find some really bad things on Google. Don't do that. Snowballing is basically adding to a position you're in. It's doing what you thought. You start buying some more, keeps going, you buy more, and you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which I definitely do that if there's legs, if there's room to move. And I think what we're talking about here, Walker, is perfect because on the EuroCAD, this has a lot more potential to the south side. From 147, call it 148 to 143, that's huge. If you look at the euro dollar, your next stopping point's at 116, so I'd feel a little less eager to be adding to a winning position on the euro dollar here, but on the euro CAD, I would definitely be adding in. So definitely a big fan of adding to winning positions. Do you do that?
Yes, I'll scale into winners, and that's a big thing for me. I never add to losers. There's no reason, in my opinion, to throw money at bad money or good money at bad money. But if it's going in your favor, and again, the EuroCAD has had plenty of opportunities to give you south side entries, yeah, you can stagger it up until you reach your max lot size. You get the full boat on, and then all you have to do is just manage your risk and trail down to your ultimate profit target.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the EuroCAD. It's funny. It's not one that I normally trade, but it's come up on our radar recently because of the coming right into that area of demand from just a couple days ago or about a week ago. So looks good. Brian Case, it seems like CAD follows the Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar. Will Aussie and New Zealand see strength as well in April?
Well, this is a great question because there's two fundamental drivers at play. First, the underlying economies and then the commodity aspect. We already previewed oil and gold is definitely weaker. So just looking at the correlations, the Aussie, in my opinion, is more likely to be weaker. Also, if we look at the underlying issues of the economy, we see that the Bank of Canada is starting to get a little more aggressive, and we see that the Bank of Australia is actually doing quite the opposite. And with the bearish RBA, you've got to be concerned that there's going to be a big negative breakout here coming up on the Aussie dollar. And again, if the Canadian dollar can just fight with the dollar back and forth as the strongest or second strongest currency, then I expect the Aussie dollar to potentially fall. And that means that the Aussie CAD may follow suit and fall as well. And you can kind of see the similar channels between the Aussie CAD and the Aussie dollar. So very, very similar setups. Pick your poison. I just happen to like the Aussie CAD better because it's at the top of the range at present.
Yeah. Well, and I think, when we've had David Warner and you on the program as well, I mean, it seems like you guys are very, very keen to follow the Bank of Australia just because they telegraph so well. If they say it's going to go there, it generally moves where the ECB or their ECB, where their bank says it's going to go. And if they say they want it weaker, it's going to get weaker.
That's right. And they typically don't play the games that you see with the Fed or the ECB or BOE. So I agree wholeheartedly. That's a sound statement. You've got to follow the RBA. And if they telegraph that they're looking at lower prices for the Australian dollar, you've got to like this to the downside.
Yep, I like it. All right, let me see. Let's go to another question over here. And again, guys, if you have questions along the way, feel free to send them in. I can see we got definitely some curiosity. And Christopher says, when trading Forex, I think you meant what commodities correlate with which currencies. And Jerry's right. The Aussie, Kiwi, the CAD. You're looking oil, dollar, and euro. Also, some of those have big gold. So I would put the Aussie in the gold category. Also, Canadians in the gold category. But those are some of the main correlations that we see.
That's right.
All right, Tim's question is, thoughts on the pound made fresh lows last week. Is the uptrend done? Now, this has been one that David Warner, I think, just got a brand new tattoo of the British pound or the Queen of England on his shoulder. He's so bullish on the damn thing. But it has been a month that has not been the best performing month for the British pound. Is it over yet?
Okay, this is a fantastic question. For me, I don't think it's over for the pound. I definitely think there is some more juice to squeeze to the top side. The thing is, again, this is a big caveat. If the dollar strength does start to roll over, we could see a larger dip, but this pair has been on such a tear. Even if we get down to the 136 level, I'm still comfortable in this longer-term uptrend. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's kind of a wait and see. I'd like to see a confirmation of a turn personally back in the direction of the longer term trend. But no, for all intents and purposes, there could still be plenty of room to run for the pound. But I like it against another currency instead of the dollar. Yeah,
and Tim, I like the observation that it's certainly. It's showing more weakness than it has for the last year. Granted, you had that one big sell-off as he's got this. I'll make sure I get my dates right. Yeah, so you've got that one big sell-off that happened September of 2020. Other than that, it's been looking great. You did have a noteworthy acceleration in price in February of this year, right? It really just accelerated. And now you're seeing a pullback. Now, the interesting thing, which I think Tim is probably focusing on, is since March, we have not been able to make a higher high, and we're actually making lower lows. So, I agree with Walker. I don't think it's done. I still think it has legs, but this is one of those ones that you're going, okay, well, maybe I lighten up a little bit. Maybe I back off just a hair here because it could be a potential for it to start to reverse. But we don't know at this point. Where Walker's got his trend line is a perfect spot on it. I mean, you're basically got two touches. You're about to get you could argue, torture it a little bit and fit those current bounce points right on that trend line, and maybe that becomes your line in the sand that ends up being the one that gets you out.
Yes, I definitely like the trend line as long as it remains intact. For me, again, just trying to chase the best trends here with the recent bout of euro weakness. I still think you got to like the euro pound to the downside. Mm-hmm. This is a better downtrend if you're playing the pound strength, in my opinion. Also, the pound Aussie is a pair to watch if you're looking for strength out of the GBP.
And that euro pound that's a great chart. I mean, it's of all the ones we've looked at, guys, it's probably one of the weaker ones. The euro just not holding the flame to it right now. It has been pretty much down every single week. I mean, if I have it on the monthly here. Weekly. Here's the weekly, just so you guys can see on my side. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles going all the way out since the beginning of the year. Sorry, three green candles since the beginning of the year on a weekly basis. And so of all the weeks, basically we have had almost everything down. This is clearly falling out of favor. Just to me, it just speaks to the dysfunction and the economic issues going on in the European Union. Obviously, you've got the Brexit deal. That was, to me, we talked about that being potentially bullish for the British pound. And as you can see, as Walker's drawn up some head and shoulder patterns here, that did not bode well for the euro. And did it meet your target, your distance target on that?
Yes, we actually met the final target here, but even like I said, if it meets your interim target, you've got to respect that some of these longer term trends may be forming. I'm very interested in the daily breakout that we're seeing today. Nice,
me too. You got him on a couple different markets there, and you guys, Patrick, don't mess with me. He's saying that those candles are blue. I just had to stare at him real quick. Those candles are green, my friend. His candles are blue. Mine are green.
Everybody's got a preference.
Yep. You know what? It's funny. And when I taught the trading class at Irvine for OTA, I let people customize the platform, and all of a sudden, like, guys would have a pink background, and their candles would be all kinds of crazy colors. I'm like, hey, as long as you understand what it's representing, I'm fine with whatever colors you decide to choose.
That's right. If that pink graph is going to get you from A to B and make you more pips, then go for it.
Go for it.
Why not? Why not?
All right, question from Mike. Earlier, you cited some statistics, which to me are invaluable in financial markets. He says, Mr. Walker mentioned that the CD was up 8 out of the last 10 or 12 years for April. Is there a breakdown somewhere of the best months for any and all Forex markets? So, guys, where are you finding that data? Have you just combed through every monthly chart?
I'll be honest. I just bootstrapped it myself. You can go on the monthly here and just go back and check out the Aprils for the month. But another good one that you can check out is seasonalcharts.com, and that aggregates a lot of the data as well.
And there are a bunch of, the Trader's Almanac is one that I've talked about a lot in the past. Unfortunately, I don't believe there is a Forex Trader's Almanac, but that one is, to me, it's the Bible of statistics out there. It's pretty awesome to look at those facts and figures. But yeah, I don't have the facts, those numbers that Walker's talking about for Forex, but I do look at those for the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Look for those relative strength type of items.
And here you can pull it up.
All right, I'll bring up your charts here. So he's got his seasonal charts. So this is, so anybody can't read that, it's seasonalcharts.com. And you went and look for seasonality.
That's right. And just go to the currencies, and you can see April is a big month for the Canadian dollar, and June is the next big one to watch for the CAD.
Nice. All right. Well, I don't have your calendar up here. I guess I could bring up your calendar, but I know you got a bunch of teaching stuff going on. If anybody has any last minute Forex questions, let us know, but we'll see what Walker's been up to. What sort of things you've been doing? I know you do free courses, or not free courses, but just sessions online. You do free webinars, and then you have some paid stuff as well. So what's coming up on your docket?
That's right. I've got a busy month. I think I have 13 or 14 appearances in the next 30 days or so. So I'll be busy, but I'm kicking off a brand new series on swing trading inside of my Facebook group. I'll be holding 3 live sessions on swing trading, and then we'll be doing some live trading throughout the month as well. And the idea is just to go from top to bottom and follow these swings progressions and have an open and honest discussion about how do we react? What are the pros and cons of a trailing stop? Do I trade the breakout or the retracement? And answer some of those big questions.
Nice. I have the page up here. I will share it with the viewers at home so you guys can see. Just go to Facebook. It's the Texas Trader. That's where he's the most active. I know Patrick says you follow him on Twitter, but I think he's probably the most active on Facebook. He's usually out there. And you had the calendar here somewhere. I don't know where it is now, but
I've got it. You can. Let's see.
You got it there somewhere. I don't know where the calendar was, but oops.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
I think it's beneficial for anybody who's checking you out. It was nice because you could see all the different things going, and it kind of give a breakdown of. There it is. Let me share that one with you guys. He's even got TraderMerlin special Tuesday the 30th. Woo woo!
Yes, also, don't forget, I've got a NFP live session for, I know it's Good Friday, I know stock markets are closed, but if you want to trade some Forex early, join me Friday, 8:15 Eastern. I'll be doing a live preview for the non-farm payroll release. So if you come into Facebook, I'll give you the Zoom link and you can join me there.
And all the yellow ones there are free, so anybody's welcome to join. So let me check this out. Awesome. All right, Walker. Any last minute parting shots on the Forex world? Anything that you think is interesting and noteworthy out there, other than the pound and the Canadian dollar? Uh-oh. I think we just dropped. That was a perfect time to. Well, I guess that's goodbye, Walker. Perfect outro. I was hoping I could say goodbye to the guy, but he hit the close button. No worries. We'll let me just tell him it's okay. Okay, let me keep going here. There are a couple other things I wanted to get to. There's some economic announcements that came out today, which I think were very important. So let me start there, and then I'll go back to some of the questions that came in from earlier. The first piece I want to look at is this economic calendar for today. Now, there were some really interesting numbers. As I told you, I'm going through this nightmare process right now of trying to buy a house in Big Bear, and people are just bidding $100,000 over asking price. It's crazy. $100,000 over asking price. So here is the two numbers at the top. I know it might be hard for some people to read if you're on your mobile device, but I'll just read them to you. The S&P Case-Shiller Composite 20 Home Price Index, which is measuring the home price indexes in 20 major metropolitan areas in the United States. Previous number was 10.2, which basically is saying that's year-over-year growth. The next, they raised the forecast this to be 11.4. That is one of the highest levels we've seen for a few years now in the prices of those homes. It actually jumped to 11.1. So it's a little bit less than expectations, but still a pretty significant jump in the home price index numbers. That to me is a very telling sign. If you could look at the chart of it, I don't have it here with me. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick so I can bring that the graph with you. I'm just going to pull it up from Forex Factory here. Here is the chart of the Case-Shiller Composite 20 Home Price Index, and I'll throw it over there for you guys. Notice that's manufacturing in China. How did that happen? We don't want China. I want that one. Notice the acceleration here on this chart. I mean, it was real high back in 2013 with a massive acceleration, but we're seeing the same thing right now. And again, that's because yields are starting to rise. So I think people are just stampeding to buy something. And it's been creating a very crazy market, obviously. So that is what it came out today. And I think that's part of the reason you saw let's just say uncertainty in the markets, because to me it's just heating up more and more and more. Now, if we look at what is happening on the economic front for tomorrow, earnings front for tomorrow, you got Micron Technologies, Walgreens Boots Alliance, and Dave & Buster's is reporting earnings tomorrow. As you may have seen today, Lululemon reported earnings, and I think my TradeStation still crashed. Let's see. Nope. Still crashed. So Lululemon reported earnings. I'll have to show you on a different platform since clearly that one's not working. Let's look at Lulu. What it's not going to show you is the after hours. It had pretty significant swings in the after hours. Unfortunately, I can't get that here on TradingView. So unless I restart my platform on TradeStation, I won't be able to show you guys that. So unfortunate. How about I do this? I will go here and see if I can restart my TradeStation. Just because I wanted to show you a couple of the charts, and some of you were asking about that earlier. So let me see if I can close this out and I'll let it go. And we'll get it back up and running here in just a second. Tom Best says, this is probably the worst time to buy a Big Bear. We looked in July. Maybe you should just buy some card bear. Yeah, but I want a place to go escape to. Trust me, I'm not chasing. I think I told you there's been bidding wars. So the second house I was looking at, or I really was interested in, was going for $350 was the asking price. It sold for $450. And I'm seeing that $100,000 over asking price is just absolutely ridiculous. But there's one that just came on the market that I like that I'm going to probably put an offer on this weekend. We'll see. Well, I'll wait and see how that one pans out. You never know, but gotta put some of this capital to use. All right, let me log in here real quick. It's hard to type at the same time, guys. Sorry. All right, no problem, Walker. It happened. My pleasure having you on, buddy. It's been a long time. I like having you on here. All right, Brian said, what do you think about the Dragonfly Doji and the last 10 minutes of trade? I'm not so concerned with the last 10 minutes of trade because that last last 30 minutes tends to be a lot of whipsaw, a lot of crazy price action. So I don't put a lot of emphasis on that one. Now, if the daily close like that, then that might be a little bit different. But I'm not going to be breaking down to like a 5 minute or 10 minute to look for right at the close. But I will bring it up for you guys here. And now I got my platform running. Oh, by the way, I think I told you I was trying to sell puts on GameStop. So the Ameritrade account wouldn't let me do it. TradeStation wouldn't let me do it. But you know who does? E-Trade actually let me sell puts on GameStop. So I do have, been selling weekly puts on GameStop, which has been just amazing. You're getting about 5% a week on puts on GameStop, and I'm like 100 points out of the money. It's nuts. All right, what was I going to show you? I was going to go to bring up this, and I will bring up the S&P. And what did you say, Brian? It was on a 10 minutes. So we'll go to 10-minute time frame here. And I got to go to the very end there. So basically, you're talking this, and I wouldn't really call, if you're looking at this candle right here, this guy where my cursor is on, that's not really a Dragonfly Doji. I'll bring up another market index, but on the SP, I'm not seeing that one there. Let's see if I got SPY, if that shows it. Okay, this is the bad boy you're talking about. What do I make of it? Nothing. Really, I don't make anything of it. Bottom line is someone hit a big sell order right on the close, and then it was just combated with a buy order. You see that happen pretty much every day. See the volume spike over here on the previous day? That last 10-minute window is usually very high volume. It'll be the same thing on almost every chart. You'll see this big spike right at the end as orders are flooding in, either from institutional or just people trying to clear their orders for the day. So I don't put much emphasis on it at all. Not to downplay it. It may have some purpose for others, but it really doesn't mean much to me, because even if I felt like this was a bullish candle, which typically it would be if it was at the end of a downtrend, because remember, what does this last candle tell you? It says that for this 10-minute window, it opened at the top of the green body. At some point, it made it this high point, which is just barely higher. At some point, though, it was it opened at the bottom of the green body. At some point, it was significantly lower, way down here. And then the buyers pushed it all the way back up, made this little high, and closed higher. That's why it's green. It's that long bottoming tail that has everybody going, uh-oh, this is like a slingshot action, right? It should shoot to the upside. But the bottom line is the market is now closed for SPY. I'm not going to be able to trade this anyway. So, yeah, not worried about it. Now, if you saw this as a daily chart and then you saw this candle, and this is today's close, I would be much more interested in it. I would be thinking that we might see more of a bullish setup for the next day, but not in a 10-minute. It's not really that critical for me. Sorry. How far are exercise dates on those puts? I'm going like $100 out. So I sold, when it was at 190, I sold like the 100s, and I'm doing them weekly. So just basically doing, 7 days. And the nice part about it is over the weekend, you're essentially, getting those 2 days of extra. So I'll probably do some more on Friday, depending on where price is at. It's incredible how much premium people are paying for those options at this point. All right, please explain the difference between... Okay, Serge says, will you please explain the difference between BTC USD and BTC USDT, which is a better trade bit pair? Well, which one's going to be better? I don't know if I can necessarily say that they're better, but BTC USD is trading Bitcoin against a fiat currency. The challenge is a lot of firms won't allow you to trade Bitcoin to a fiat. You have to trade crypto to crypto. So what people are doing is substituting USD, which is the fiat physical dollar, with USDT, which is Tether. And Tether is a cryptocurrency. It's basically a tokenized dollar that's pegged 1-to-1. That makes it much easier for you to transact on exchanges, especially like, I think Kraken actually allows USD. There was a couple others that I was on that wouldn't allow me to do it. I don't think, so for example, you can't on BlockFi go from Bitcoin to USD. They won't let you do it, but you could switch it over to Tether. So a lot of exchanges, it's limiting, and I don't know whether that's a regulatory thing, that they don't have power or some sort of permission to be converting into dollars. Not sure. Personally, I don't think that there's really a difference between those two. Yes, good point, ML. So I'll sell those on Thursday, so I get my 2-day win, or my 3 days of free trading for the options. But yeah, I don't really have a preference. I don't think there's a benefit to either one. if I had to put my gun in my head, I'd say probably the USDT, because it gives you more flexibility with the exchanges, because some exchanges won't allow you to trade with fiat currency. For example, with Coinbase, you'd have to buy with fiat to start, and then you can convert that into Tether, which can move much faster around these different companies. If they're sending dollars from exchange to exchange, that's going to be challenging. So one of the questions I had from different viewers has been, how do I buy, let's say, what was the question that came up? Oh, I'm trying to think of the exact question. It was, how do I buy a Polkadot on Kraken? And this is actually a coworker of mine, and so I said, well, you have to open a Kraken account. Great, you open a Kraken account. In order to put in US dollars into Kraken, it is an absolutely horrible process. You have to send wires, which of course now cost you money. It's a slow, cumbersome process to bring in dollars to Kraken. However, on Coinbase, it's actually really simple. You just simply set it up to your bank account. I believe it's an ACH. It's a quick transaction. Can happen in some cases, depending on how you have it set up, could be instant. So it's much faster on Coinbase to link it to your checking account, convert from USD into Bitcoin, and then I told my colleague, send that Bitcoin from Coinbase to Kraken, and now you can use that Bitcoin to buy whatever you want. Bitcoin is pretty much the common denominator to buy anything in the crypto world. So if you go to some of these smaller exchanges, they may not have access to USD, but they might have Tether. And the reason that these exchanges have Tether is if you're in something like Bitcoin and it gets too volatile, or you just want to get out and go to, I'm using quotes here for the podcasters, cash, you can't really go to US dollar. You can go to Tether, so it's the equivalent of cash, if that made any sense. Yes, USDC is backed by Circle, which is partially owned by Goldman Sachs, so it starts to dig a little bit deeper. And Brendan says, USDT got audited. I saw your post on that one. I still don't trust it. It seemed like for years, Tether could not prove that they had the billions of dollars worth of backing that they said they did. Because for every one Tether, there's supposed to be $1 in a bank somewhere. That should be pretty easy to account for, should it not? If you got $100 billion worth of Tether, and I'm making the number up, by the way, $100 billion, there better be $100 billion sitting in cash in an account somewhere. I'm willing to bet you anything that there's not $100 billion sitting in an account somewhere. It might be linked to some other assets. It would be in bonds. It can be in derivatives. They're not keeping that sitting in cash, but that's what they say they do. So I don't know. I don't trust it. Can't find Walker on Facebook. I just had that up there for you. Let me see if it's Walker the Texas Trader. So there it is. You just type in the Texas Trader on Facebook, and you'll see his mug right there. That's pretty much it. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't have Telegram. I don't know. I'm wary of starting new social media platforms. I have all these people trying to get me to use Telegram. Like, I'm not going to do it. Yes, and as Brendan says, USDC. If I had my choice, everybody, I would use USDC. I would use USDC more so than Tether, but they're both trying to achieve the same thing. Yeah. Yes, algebra. 5% on a GME 100 put. That it's expiring on Friday. This Friday. Well, actually, I guess it would be on Thursday, right? All right. So there's your Walker. There's your questions. I can actually do this right here, since I think I can put. I don't think you guys can put links in chat, but I believe I can. So there you go. Perfect. What other questions you guys got for me as I wrap up here? We got a few minutes left. Oh, you have Steam It. Yeah, these are all, it's funny because I'm kind of a geek when it comes to social media and things, but boy, I feel like I'm getting old because there's all of a sudden now there's a dozen other ones that you can use. Christopher, you talking about, I don't think I am going to use, I don't think I'm going to start using that account. All right, what else we got? Questions. I got all these different ones. Oh, you may have been hearing about a coin called the Shiba coin. And I've been pulled into some user groups on this one, and I'm basically just got to block them. Basically, somebody created a coin, Shiba coin. If you don't know, Dogecoin, which got a lot of popularity because of Elon Musk, is the icon there is a Shiba Inu. So somebody decided to create a token called Shiba, and it's priced very cheaply so that people will be drawn to buy it. Now, I told you that Bitcoin has a maximum ceiling of 21 million Bitcoin. Litecoin is at 84 million Litecoin. Right now, Ethereum is about 113 million Ethereum. You have Ripple has 100. Is it 100 billion? I think it's 100 billion. I forget off the top of my head. But I think it's 100 billion. Guess how many of these Shiba tokens there are? Just curious if you guys want to take a guess and have some fun and look at the idiocracy of the people. Because what's happening is all these people are buying Shiba, and they're doing so in with big dollar amounts because it's so cheap they can get 600,000 of these things for not much money at all. And they're all saying, oh, it's going to go to $1. Okay. If it goes to $1, the valuation of this would make it one of the most unbelievably valuable companies in the world. Anybody guess on how many Shiba coins are out there? Come on, not one guess yet? Come on. Take a guess. Yeah, Shiba coin. Don't buy it. If you guys buy Shiba, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. All right, so the most I know that's out there is, 100 billion Ripple, right? Yeah, there we go. So Patrick says 13 trillion, 700 billion, 1 trillion. There you go. Trillions. Even that would be ridiculous, right? It's 1 quadrillion. That's 1,000 trillions. And some knuckleheaded moron is spreading the rumor that this thing's going to get to $1. Let me see. Apple, who is one of the most globally dominant companies in the world, is teetering on a $2 trillion market cap. So you're telling me that this thing's going to be 50 times bigger than that? 50 times bigger? No way. I'm sorry, 500 times bigger than that. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the problem with the crypto space, guys, is they're pumping and dumping things and trying to get people to buy it. Do not buy Shiba coin. All right, it's a total get rich quick mentality, and it's not even get rich quick. It's just basically the greater fool theory in that one because it has zero applications, zero case usages. It's not being used for currency, nothing. Yeah, it's hard to be low when I'm talking 1 quadrillion. I mean, it's amazing. Christopher says, I have a request for you. Do you know Todd Davis? Not only do I know Todd Davis is awesome, and I have been trying to get him on the program. Unfortunately, he got promoted, and his title now makes him a director, and he is ridiculously swamped. I have bugged him till I'm blue in the face. I almost gave up, but I will try to get him on because Todd is awesome. Not only just his background and experience, but his trading as well, and he's such a great guy. So I will do my best to get him on here in the near future. Okay, let's talk about tomorrow. I'm excited. Tomorrow is a show unlike any that I've done. It is going to be focused on something that probably none of you are doing. You may have heard about it. And I think what tomorrow's show purpose will be is to dispel a lot of the myths, a lot of the misinformation about a topic that people make you believe that you can get rich quick. And that get rich quick scheme that people are talking about is mining cryptocurrencies. They make it seem like you just buy a couple of graphics cards and slap in your computer, and next thing you know, it just keeps printing money. It's your ATM you just keep in the corner of your house and run. That's not true. However, there are some great use cases. There are ways you can be making money with crypto, and Ryan Hall is going to be on my program tomorrow, which was recommended by Tom. So thank you, Tom, for that. We are going to break down really what it is, why it's needed, how it works, and then we'll go into what you need to know if you are thinking of getting into this space. And ultimately, the last questions we'll look at, which will be interesting, was would you want to be a miner or not? Is there really any skin in the game? Is it worth your while to be a miner of cryptocurrencies? And the answer might surprise you. So that will be the topic for tomorrow. Again, it's going to be very different than what we normally cover, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This is a recommendation from the audience. So again, I love when you guys send me recommendations and thoughts on who to have on. You can send me any recommendations or thoughts by going to name on the screen here. Email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com so you can tell me what you want to hear and different topics for the show, because doing the show every day live gets a little challenging with regards to staying fresh. Hopefully, I've done a pretty decent job of trying to stay fresh and not being redundant, but we'll do our best. Okay, that will do it for me. Oh boy, this is an early show. You guys get to go out and play today. I'm 10 minutes early. I don't know what to do with myself. Awesome. And Tom, I'm going to start off tomorrow with a 49ers logo just because. Just for you. We're going all 49ers graphics on tomorrow. I'll change my background. It's going to be a 49er background. You did this, Tom. Anyway, all right, thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed having Walker Anglin on the program today. Some insights into the Canadian dollar, which I know Brendan's going, it sucks, it's fiat currency. Well, it's been on a tear lately, so your purchasing power is looking good. Hopefully you can come to the U.S. and come visit one of these days now that you can buy much more with your Canadian dollars. Also, his thoughts on the euro and the British pound. A lot of great information was shared today. So if you want to know more from Walker Anglin, the easiest way is to look at him up on Twitter, or you just go to the link I posted in chat a little bit ago. It's The Texas Trader on Facebook. Just type those things in, or just go to facebook.com/The Texas Trader to get any information from Walker Anglin. All right, that's going to do it for me for today. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the show. No Joe Biden. I really want to steer away from any politics. No, doesn't make a difference what side of the aisle you're on. Has no place in trading. It's funny because even on my Facebook page, all of a sudden I'm seeing so many people, they're polarized. They hate me. If I say, oh, I like this candidate, I'm going to lose half of you. You're going to call me an a-hole. And then if I say I like the other candidate, you're going to say, oh, I hate you because you like the guy. Doesn't matter, right? It's all financial markets. So who cares who the political powers that be, or if you're fighting who the political powers would be, saying that the election was stolen. It is what it is. Just move forward. Let's go to the next election, and let's keep trading and making money. All right, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you all mañana. Take care.